coming here today. I know it was kind of a little bit of an inconvenience. We just wanted to ensure that all of the information that you get is just on what I know we had a couple of them, and there was some information that was different from the others. So we just wanted to ensure that everything was the same information for everyone. So thank you guys for coming.
So now we'll turn it over to Kenneth Branch. I don't know if you guys see any connection here. A lot of the work that's being done on post-fire rehab, the leadership is homegrown from Mora. And I think that should make everybody feel proud. You know, there's not a lot of folks that came in from Washington, D.C. to come and take over and try to attempt to do post-fire rehab. We grew up in the montes that burned. We have properties that were affected. We're healing just as much as you folks are and our neighbors are, right? So Kenny went to school together the whole 9 yards, but he's gonna give you the rundown on what EWP means, the program that's coming forth. Then after that, we're gonna turn it over to Joseph Rovato, and he's from Department of Finance and Administration, and he's gonna be the procurement specialist that's been assigned to the EWP process. And he's gonna explain how bids are gonna be rolled out, the whole 9 yards, the qualifications you as contractors need to become a vendor with the state of New Mexico if you're not. So we'll turn it over to Kenny to give us a briefing on EWP.
All right, thanks, Gerald. Good morning. I appreciate everybody coming out this morning. It was kind of short notice, the meeting, and so I see that we have a good turnout. As Gerald mentioned, my name is Kenneth Branch. I grew up in Mora, so I know exactly what's going on. We know the local area. I work for a branch of the Department of Agriculture called the Natural Resources Conservation Service. And the EWP program, or Emergency Watershed Protection, is a program that we offer that helps landowners, private landowners only, to implement projects or practices that are going to protect their property, their life and their property. So a lot of the projects that you're going to see are going to be around houses, they're going to be around roads, buildings, whatnot. We're going to be working on residential land. None of the projects will be on federal land at all. Everything is going to be on private land with private landowners. So that's really important that we get that message out there that we're going to be working with private land. We're going to be getting permission from those private landowners. Gerald and Wanda will have that responsibility. So this will be something that you guys will know that you have the permission to enter into their land. And we also want that private landowner to be as involved as they possibly can. And when we say involved, I don't mean out there telling you guys as the contractors, you need to do this and you need to do that. But we want them to be comfortable with the projects that we're implementing, and you guys as contractors, the people that are going to be on their property, we want them to be comfortable with you as well. So the way that our program works is it requires a program sponsor, and the sponsors is the Soil and Water Conservation Districts, Tierra y Montes, and Western Mora, and the state of New Mexico, the Department of Finance and Administration. The sponsors have a lot of responsibilities, and one of the biggest responsibilities is to procure the contracts or to hire the contractors. So any contract that is written will be between the contractor and basically the state of New Mexico through DFA. It's not going to be between the federal government and that contractor. It's basically going to be between the state and the contractor. We will serve as the technical agency for this. So we do have some other folks from NRCS here today. We have some engineers here. We're going to have engineers out there in the field with you doing a lot of the oversight and a lot of the inspection. Today, when we start getting through this, we'll have some of the standard drawings, standard designs on this first project that's going to be that I think it's already live right now. So if you guys have questions on that, or if you want to go through those, I do have some engineers that can hopefully answer some of your questions there. We're going to be rolling these out as we go. There's going to be a lot of work as we're rolling along here. So it's not going to be just one contractor. I know that there was some confusion in the last meeting that they had where they were saying it's going to be one primary contractor and everybody's going to sub under that. That's not the way that our project works. Our projects are basically, we're going to put it out, the primary can bid on it, and then you guys will have the ability to sub it. If you're a primary, you'll have the ability to sub it if you'd like, and that's something that Joseph will talk about what you'll have to do to sub. But there's going to be multiple primaries. There's not just going to be one and everybody working under that one. The work is going to be all the way from Chacon to Mineral Hill, Guadalupita, Mora, the Dukes, Gascon, Rociala. There's a lot of projects all in these areas, And the way that we're gonna be announcing them is we're basically gonna be putting these out based on the general location of where those projects are gonna be. So for example, this first one that's gonna go up, you'll see up there it says Holman 01. This is gonna be the first project. It's gonna be in the Holman area, for those of you that are familiar with Mora County. When we announce one in San Miguel County, it may say, Mineral Hill 1, and then if we announce another project in Holman, it'll say Holman 02. That's the second one that's gonna go out. The announcements are gonna have multiple projects in them at multiple locations. So like, for example, this first one is gonna have 17 different locations. And, right now, we cannot provide the landowner's name because we have to protect that sensitive information, but we'll give you an overall map, kind of a map showing where the locations are gonna be. It's not gonna have landowners' names, but it'll at least give you an idea of where these projects are gonna be. You'll know by, the Holman part of it, that it's gonna be in that general Holman area. The selected contractor will receive the landowner's names and the landowner permission forms and whatnot. So whenever we select a contractor, I say we, I mean, the state of New Mexico selects a contractor, then that's when we'll provide you all of those details, because this is public information and we're not allowed to release that private information in a public forum. So once we get a little bit more in depth, that's when we'll release a lot of that information. For these first few that we announced, we plan on having site showings where we're gonna be out there in the field. For this Holman one, it's gonna be Tuesday at 10 o'clock. So as we go through, if you see some of those projects and you wanna bid on them, and you wanna go out there to the site and review some of those areas, we may not get to all of them that day, but at 10 o'clock, we're gonna meet at the Mora County Courthouse, and then from there at 10:15 promptly, we're going to leave to the sites. So we're telling everybody to show up at 10, we're gonna give people 15 minutes to show up, park, get ready, and then at that time, we'll head out to some of the areas and you'll be able to get an idea of what some of the work is gonna entail. All of the projects that we put out are gonna have standards and specifications that'll have to be met. Those standards and specifications are gonna be NRCS's standards and specs, so like I said, we'll have engineers out there on site to be able to do that. So even though you're gonna be paid through and contracted under the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration, you're still gonna be meeting the NRCS standards and specifications for everything that we install. I don't know if did I leave anything out?
No, you nailed it.
All right, so we're gonna have a lot of work. We're gonna continue on until the snow flies, until we basically run out of time, really, and then we'll probably have enough work to even go into the spring and start rolling over some of that work into the spring. So this is gonna be an ongoing project. There's gonna be everything from earthwork that's gonna be needed to be implemented, HESCO baskets to be installed, seeding, on the ground seeding, mastication, contour tree felling. So if you have a lot of that knowledge and experience, there's gonna be a lot of work. And I just ask that you be patient with us. We're trying to procure these contracts as fast as we can. Like I said, there's gonna be multiple, and as we get going and we get comfortable with our system, this is the first one that we ever put out. So as we get comfortable with our system, I'm sure they're gonna come online a lot faster, but right now we're kind of taking some baby steps, and then also as you guys as contractors get comfortable with us and with DFA and the sponsors, I think it'll start rolling a lot smoother. So again, just be patient. We're working through this. This is the biggest event that we've ever dealt with in the state of New Mexico through our agency. So this is kind of groundbreaking for us, and so we're kind of learning as we go also here. So again, we appreciate your patience and your understanding on that. But I'll go ahead and turn it over to Joseph Lovato with DFA, and he'll get us started.
I just wanna jump in real quick, and you guys coming here today, get the live showing. This bid is live right now. Okay, you leave here with the information you have, you can start working on the bidding for this, provided you have all the credentials necessary, okay? So Joseph is gonna run down the portal system that's gonna be utilized for this. Some of you folks that have been bidding on state contracts in the past may have used something similar. For some of you, it's gonna be new. It was new to me. I didn't know this existed, but this portal is gonna be the main contact for all of the projects that are gonna be procured for EWP. So, Joseph.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you guys for having us here. Daniel, let me introduce you because you'll be working with a contractor. So this is Daniel Katnak. He will be the program manager for local government division. He falls under Department of Finance Administration. He's been assigned to work with NRCS, Gerald and the SWCDs and Wanda, and the contractors. So this will be your go-to man, project manager on every contract issue. Okay?
So I did bring a bunch of business cards, so after this, if you guys wanna come by, you get my contact information. Yeah, excited.
It's new for all of us.
Oh, it's
Daniel's fairly
very
new.
new, yeah.
I'm not new to procurement, but I'm new to this emergency. Again, this is the first time it's ever happened in the state at this magnitude. So we did build this portal to get all the bids out. Okay? This procurement's running under the emergency procurement, so we are exempt from procurement code, okay? So these are gonna be fast 10-day bids. I don't have to leave them open for so long and follow all that criteria. However, we are gonna be very transparent on it. The money coming in, we wanna help these communities and get it in and get the jobs done, right? We're on a time frame. We only have so much time to get the work done. So what I'm hoping for on the contractor side is as many people as available, if you're subbing out, that we all work together and try and get as many projects done as possible. That's the goal, and I think that's the goal for NRCS. To me, it's been months, flooding's been happening, and I wish we could have done it 3 months ago, but just the way the process works, we couldn't. So it's live. So this portal, when you guys sign in, and I'll give you it's at the top, it's the https:// and then it'll be NM as in New Mexico, DFA.
So those of you that sign in with your email address, you can email the link directly to you, that way you can access it that way.
And it'll be bond, BONFIREHUP.com. If you go there, it's gonna bring you here, okay? And as the jobs open up, the bottom one you got, that's any RFP or any procurement's going with DFA, so that's an RFP that's open right now. The top, you'll see them, they'll always be listed with a RFQ and the number as this is each page. They'll always have the name and as Kenny said, the number, okay? It'll run a running calendar. So what I wanted to do, Gerald, is I want you guys to see it as if you guys signed in for the first time, okay? So come on in, Gerald, and let me have you click on the view opportunity. So when you guys come in, you're gonna click view opportunity, okay? Oh, and I'm on are you able to sign in? Just like go in, because it'll pull my credentials. We'll do it. Well, let's just go over the project, okay? So what'll happen is you'll click view opportunity. It's gonna make you create a login ID and a name, right? And then the minute you create that, it'll send you a link. It'll tell you to create a password. You can create your password. That's gonna be your account to this portal, okay? So anything that opens up in this portal, you will receive an email. If there's an update, if there's a question or answer, if there's a new bid that opens, the minute you create that account, it's coming to everybody whose email address is back there. And I'm gonna upload them in here so you will all receive an invite notification, okay? Create your account, save your information, because that's your link to this. Okay, the minute you create your account, you sign in and you click view opportunity, this is what you're gonna see. Now the project name, it's gonna have you a running calendar, so you know when it opens, when your questions are due, ask questions for all answers. You could contact me if you have any questions, and when the bid closes, okay? There's gonna be 8 days left. It tells you to open today, so as you can see, we're gonna try the first one and try and get it in between 10 days and try and have a contract awarded within 12 to 15.
Has the portal opened up yet?
It opened at 10 a.m., so go back
Today?
up to where, yes. Go back
Okay.
up to where- So this calendar will tell you everything, so right there, open, September 1st, 2022, 10 a.m.
So that means no one's gotten a bid yet.
No, because we opened it for everyone that was here to go over it.
Okay.
It is open,
Okay.
okay? So it's a running calendar, go down, so this will be all your basic information. This will be your basic project description, okay? So go ahead and keep going down, Joe. And then it's gonna run you the important events, so it's a very user-friendly system to make sure you get it in, okay? It'll break it all down like what we looked up, and then it's gonna come down to supporting documentation. These are all the documents you're gonna use, so let's go to the first one, which should be, no. Those will be required forms to fill out, but let's actually look at the project. So on the statement of work, go ahead and hit download.
So what you're seeing here is what's on the portal already. So this is the statement of work.
On my desktop. Just hit save. And then it should open up on the bottom.
This is actually the statement of work for this project.
Yeah, we're looking at it full, okay? So, did you wanna go over it? Do Kenny or one of you guys wanna actually go over it and go over the project right away?
David, you wanna touch on that?
Yeah, sure. So my name is David Pacheco, and I'm with the Natural Resources Conservation Service. An engineer working on the team. We have quite a few of us. We have Desi Ramirez, who is the acting state conservation engineer for New Mexico. And we have Rock, who's a new engineer. Sorry, I missed the last name.
It's Vicente, Robert Vicente.
Also an engineer with NRCS, and we have a team of us working on these projects. So anyway, for this first go around, as we mentioned, we have 17 locations, all in the Holman area. And basically what we're doing is we have 4 practices that we're installing. The first one is flood barriers. The second is earth diversion. And then we have sediment removal, which would be, well, we call it debris removal, and we have 2 categories. We have sediment and we have woody debris. So those are the 4 practices. If you go ahead and flip, yeah, we have a chart here. This chart has the 17 locations identified by latitude and longitude, and for each one, it shows the quantities of those 4 work items. So like, for instance, the very top one, number 1, it shows there's 255 feet of flood barrier. And there's also 950 cubic yards of sediment removal. So we have that for each of the 17 sites, and then we have our totals down here at the bottom. Okay, so there's included in this, there's a bid schedule. So you would, if you have it, Andy.
So while they're opening that document there, you saw how where landowner name was blank. Whoever gets selected, whoever contractor gets selected will get that same document, but it'll have the landowner's names on it. So then you can track it by each landowner. But right now, like I said, we couldn't post the landowner's names.
So that's the bid schedule right there, right?
Go to that one, I think, there.
You see that there?
Yeah. All right, so this is our bid schedule. So the quantities that were on that chart, they're all summarized on this bid schedule. So this is where you actually prepare your bid prices. So for each of the 4 items, you can see we have 4 items. The first one is mobilization and site preparation. That one is going to be a lump sum. So you just have a total amount that you bid for that item. And then we have the earth diversions. Again, this is a summary of all 17 locations. So we have a total of 175 linear feet of earth diversion. So you put your unit price and then multiply that by 175 to get your total amount. For the sediment removal, we have 1,250 cubic yards. So again, you come up with a unit price and your total amount. And then the flood barrier bags, 2,959 linear feet. So you get all those and come up with your total amount. There's a footnote there that says the unit prices are the total for, for all the work, including all taxes. Let's see, one thing I want to mention on the mobilization. So there's several sites and several locations. The mobilization is going to be your total bid for moving everything into the area, plus obviously mobilizing to the individual sites, and then also moving out when the job is done. But we also have all of these items right here. You see they're summarized. Construction survey, pollution control, traffic control, quality control. all of those items listed there are also, considered to be part of that mobilization and site preparation bid item. One of the significant items under pollution control, it says that, all disturbed earth areas have to be seeded after the work is done. So you need to be aware of that and make sure you factor that into your cost. On the drawings, there's a chart that shows, the seed mix, the different species and the application rates for the seeding. Okay, sure.
So all these items he's talking about are all right here that will be on the supporting documentation. So when you're on that first page, you sign in, everything we're going over, that we're showing you, you're just gonna download these, right? So sorry, which one was it you wanted, the maps?
No, the drawing. Second item. So the statement of work, it has, we have the specifications for those 4 items. And then we have, the drawings, and then there's 4 pages to the drawings. The first is just a cover sheet. This is kind of the general notes. This is the seating chart that I mentioned right there. There is a map, I think actually on the first page. It's not real detailed, so we're providing additional maps that have a little more detail of the area where the work is being done. Okay, when you go to page 3, yeah. This is the standard drawing showing the earth diversion. And then it's pretty basic, 2-foot high earth diversion. Okay, go to the next page. This sheet here shows the flood barriers. So there's a company called HESCO. They're really the only company that we're aware of that makes this product. So you might look to them to see, about obtaining the material. So basically what this is it's a welded steel cage, 3x3 cells, and each unit has 5 cells. They come fully assembled from the manufacturer, and you spread them out and attach them. They have geotextile lining the inside, and then these HESCO barriers are filled with earth fill. And we're going to the maximum extent possible, we're going to try to use local materials, sands and gravels, even some cobbles, but we don't want materials larger than 6 inch. But we have a lot of material. We have that sediment debris removal bid item. You can use that material to fill these bags. There's also, you can find your own sources. The highway department has, if you drive around in the area, there's lots and lots of stockpiles because they've been clearing sediment out. And you can get permission. I'm sure we've talked with the highway department, but you would need to get their permission. But they've indicated to us that they're saying, oh, please take it. They want to get rid of these piles of sediment. So there's a lot of sources. You can maybe even talk with the landowners. They may have an area. If you don't have enough from the sediment removal, you might be able to work out a deal with the landowner to get on site. Or just, but
Hey,
yeah.
I just wanted to mention that, those baskets that are around the sewer treatment plant in Mora, those are the HESCO baskets we're talking about.
Yeah.
So you can see a live version that's driving on the way out. That's what,
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. And on the day of the site showing, I think we could just take a quick detour and take a look at those if that's what we do. Let's see, these baskets, the cells, as I mentioned, they're 3 foot by 3 foot and they're 4 foot tall. So each cell is going to hold 1 1/3 cubic yards of material. We do require compaction. Obviously, you're not going to get equipment in there, but, they have to be filled in 12-inch layers, and then you can hand compact them, each layer. We just don't want material dumped in loosely, so we want a little bit of compaction. The other requirement, or another requirement, is that they have to be filled, like you fill the entire line 1 foot deep, and then you start the next line. You don't fill one basket 4 feet while the adjacent cell is empty, because that's gonna put too much pressure on the wall in between the two. But our specifications, spell out all of these requirements. We also have a manufacturer's installation guide, which we will make available. And our specification actually does reference that manufacturer installation guide. So we'll need that, and we'll make sure that, you get a copy of that. You can also download it from the ESCO webpage. So, let's see, I think that's pretty much it.
I'll just show them the map real quick.
Yeah, Jesse pointed out that the drawings do say preliminary. Once the contract is awarded, we'll provide all the landowner names, and, you know, they'll be considered final at that point. So, yeah, these are the maps that show the general locations, of the 17 work sites.
So under supporting documentation is where you're gonna pull all the stuff we talked about, you know, what projects are coming, to look at it, so you know how you can bid on it, right? And as Kenneth said, we'll probably do site visits for the first couple, if we have to do them for all of them, like, so again, the portal will be here, every document that pertains to that project, you will download right here, so you can research and do all your homework, okay? And then the next section under that's gonna be the requested information. So this is gonna be what's required for you to bid on the job. So up above, you saw that certification form, campaign contribution form that you'll need to fill out. So you'll download them there. When you're ready to bid, before that day closes, it gives you a specific time frame. These are the documents you'll have to upload for your bid, okay? So it tells you everything you need. You can't miss it. You don't get it in, it won't accept your bid and you won't be part of it. So you have to get all this in on time, okay? It still runs the same way as an RFP. Once this system's up and running, I can't manipulate it, I can't change it. So this is right. So you'll obviously, we'll talk more about the performance bond and payment bond. They're more than likely gonna be either 100% of what your contract amount is, or half, 50%. We'll figure that out once the contract part comes, but, or I'll get you more information by tomorrow on that one. So these will be the required. You'll obviously need your liability insurance for your, business. And then for these projects, as of right now, the only contractor license required is a GS8. If we have projects that have cement in them, you'll need the GF4. Okay, so as these projects come, everything that's required will be listed here, and then obviously you'll upload in Excel the bid cost form that you downloaded, the one that we went over that has all 17 projects and quantities put in, and those are what you'll upload to us to review. On mine, you're gonna see, if you guys come down here, if there's anything that comes up or any information we got, or I need to amend something or update it, it'll be right here in public notices. Everybody gets the same information across the board. If you guys have a question, or you wanna send me a question, my information's up top, but I strongly recommend you put it here, cause this comes right directly to me faster, okay? My other email is everyone in the state that works with me or doesn't work with me, and I might get yours a week later, okay? So every question pertaining to these, please keep them here, cause this is where I'll look for everything, okay? What you'll do here is, you guys will have a button, the way this looks, but it'll just say ask a question. You click it, you'll send whatever question you have, it'll come directly to me. I'll respond. Everybody that's in the portal won't get your question, but when it comes back, it won't have your name or anything, but the question will be posted and the answer will be posted, so everybody gets the question, everybody gets the answer. So that's how it'll come back there, okay? And I'm pretty sure it allows you to download it in a Word document or something if you want it for your records, okay? So that's where that goes, and then once you guys are ready to submit all this stuff, you're gonna hit, you guys would have already created your vendor. This is making me do it because I'm the administrator of the program. But you guys would have already created, so right there is be submit bid, and then you just download the documents, they come right through to me, and then we review them. The minute we review them, we're looking to make a selection within a day or two from when they come in, and I'm looking to award that contract within that day or two. Okay, so that's literally routing, signing, getting it in place, getting the purchase order, and then you guys are gonna work with Kenneth, gonna work with Wanda, Gerald, any of the engineers, and Daniel, and the project will get to work, okay? Some of the requirements to be a contractor, you gotta be a vendor with the state of New Mexico, so make sure your substitute W-9 is entered, and you have a vendor ID, otherwise I can't cut a check to you, okay? The other one is, this is federal funds. You must be registered with SAMS.gov and have your EUIN number. That will be required at time of entering a contract, that will be checked, and all that will be good. Your CRS number must be in good standing with the Taxation and Revenue Department. They sign off on the contract, okay? So those are the 3 items in order for me to contract with you that you have to have. Okay? If you guys are going to sub out some of the work, you do have to openly disclose it. Let us know who your subcontractors are. We will list them as an addendum in the contract, okay? The reason for that is you will be solely responsible with your subcontractors, but because we are giving you federal funds within the contract template, it says that any subcontractors have to be approved in writing by the agency prior to using them. So we go ahead and we do run a SAM.gov on the subs because we knowingly are approving them to work under you and we're giving them federal money through you. So if you're gonna sub, they gotta be registered in SAM.gov. They don't have to worry about a W-9, they don't gotta worry about a CRS, you guys are solely responsible for them on that part. But because it is federal funds, we're knowingly giving you money and you're signing off saying you're gonna give them money, they have to be registered in SAM.gov. Okay?
On the, on the SAM.gov and also on the state rules, they have, it's called set-asides for veterans, business minorities, and I know they had talked about giving the people who live in the counties preference for the contracts.
So
Is that gonna be available?
We cannot give a preference because this is federal funds, it's not state funds. I cannot give a preference to anybody. Now, what we do wanna do and what the governor has asked us to do is keep the money here local as much as possible. That means not hiring somebody from Washington, not hiring somebody from there, right? Trying to keep local, and if you guys can sub to local contractors, we strongly prefer it. This is a community that has been devastated and we wanna help build it, right? We wanna keep the money here, the money that comes in, we wanna, assist the community, so that's where we're at, but we cannot give a preference.
Well, let me ask a question. What if somebody that's from New Mexico bids on it, but they're using another contract like in Alaska? Is that gonna be feasible?
The bid's open to anybody. This is federal money. I have to open it to anybody that wants to bid on this job. So I can't give a preference because it's federal money.
Okay.
I go to jail
So then you
for that.
have to go through the proper procedures through what SAM and the feds require.
The purpose of SAM.gov is that they're trusting me with the federal funds, and I have to ensure that nobody is debarred to receive those funds. So I have to have their EUIN number before I award that contract, and actually go online and make sure they're active and in good standing. It prints me out a report as part of my packet that I have to turn in order to get money from the feds.
Okay.
And if those procurement rules aren't followed, come audit time and we get found on things like this, it actually jeopardizes our ability to receive funding in the future.
We'll be debarred.
So you imagine DFA that receives a lot of federal monies to run multiple programs, gets blackballed by the federal government, what's that gonna do to the state? So that's the reason that we have to maintain the law that's before us and run the procurement the way it needs to be done. Question here, Joseph.
Sorry, what's the turnaround time on the funds getting out to the contract?
So it'll be within the contract, right? So the way it's gonna work is, again, Daniel will be project manager, you're gonna have Wanda, Gerald, you're gonna have Kenneth. They're gonna give you the specs, they'll be working hand in hand, making sure it's up to par. So, you guys could go ahead and start invoicing, as projects go, however the company needs to get it. It's a normal contract, so what DFA did as a sponsor is, we set up budgets, we have this all put in place, and we're gonna go ahead and seek reimbursement based off of what you guys are giving us, so I'll take care of that part. So it's the normal contract, right? You guys get some work done, go ahead. I like to do lump sum, so it's a little bit easier on the reporting, not paying $15, $25 for this. You guys could, maybe make a cost for the month or every 2 weeks, submit your invoices where they could verify it, and then we'll certify payment.
We had talked about the potential of using milestones, percentages, 15, 20% completion, gets the first payment. Beyond that, I don't know if that's something.
Well, this will all tie into when you guys put your bid, when we select you, this is the conversation we'll have maybe when drafting the contract and
That'll be in the
figuring out how the project's gonna get done. So they're looking at milestones, I'm just the procurement guy, so the technical guys will know how they're gonna wanna work with you guys to get it
It'll
done.
probably work off of those, right, Kenny?
Yeah, so from our end, from the NRCS, the federal end, we can't pay or reimburse the state until that project meets our standards and specs. So if you're gonna do it based on milestones and it's a percentage, and you say 25% of the work is done, but half of the HESCO baskets are installed, we can't pay on that, even if that is the 25%, the entire project has to be implemented. So it's probably best to look at the projects and say, when I finish these 2 or these 3 projects, I'd like to get paid. And then we say, we do our certification, we certify it, then we say, yeah, we're good to.
The bidding process we're using right now is the form we set. So it's gonna be that one lump sum, and then the statement of work that's drafted has the specifications, and then the contract that comes with it, we'll even break that down more. Make sense? What we're trying to do is to not expedite it, but have not as much work closing stuff out either, right? We wanna get the work done, get you guys paid, and on to the next project. So we're trying to lump it into the projects, getting them in, getting them paid onto, because we're against time, right? It's gonna start snowing soon, hunting season, and then, the first award was only 200 days. I'm sure we could extend it, but I'm under a big time crunch to get this stuff done.
There's a question in the back up here.
Yeah, the first meeting that we had gone to that was in Mora, cause I know this is a different group from the one in Mora. And, so the people there were asking about when you're doing your selection, how was the process gonna be? And she said that the first group of people that have the first round that they look at to see if they have the qualification would be the people that were affected in those counties. So she had said that Mora, San Miguel, up in the Raton and Taos area, Colfax, Santa Fe, because it hit our Cow Creek. So she said that they would look at these people first before they would resource outside further than out of the state. So they take this group first.
Well,
If there was something that they can do. Huh?
That workshop was put on by a different program than us. It was a general contractor meeting. This meeting is specific to EWP.
Okay.
We're not talking about any other type of program.
So this is just for the feds. That's what's gonna happen with the federal money.
It's not only the feds, it's the NRCS.
Okay, so it's both.
There could be other federal work that's being done by the Farm Service Agency, the Forest Service, or other agencies. This is specific to the NRCS projects through our sponsors.
Okay.
Very, very specific, and that's why we.
And the funding is coming from the federal government.
Yeah.
NRCS is paying for this.
And you get your funding from,
Our funding is through the appropriations of Congress.
okay, so it's through the federal.
money. We're
Okay.
a federal agency, we're the Department of Ag, just a different branch of the Department of Ag.
Okay.
than the FSA and
Okay, so then I understand the process, cause we're in SAM.
That's the reason we brought everybody here today, so that you can hear from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
Exactly the process.
Okay.
Not somebody speaking on behalf of us, it's coming from us, from Joseph, he's the procurement specialist. What he says goes on this project as far as procurement. We got a question back here?
You were talking about the project release for payment. So could you give a theoretical timeline? The smaller companies having a cash flow problem and how to finance projects.
Yeah,
That's
so
a concern.
if you complete a project, like let's just say one of those 17 projects, and you complete the first one, you could go back and certification. The districts, our sponsors will sign off on it. Joseph will, if you'll work with Joseph and Daniel to get paid, and then they come and they get they seek the reimbursement from us.
So it takes a month to finish, do the paperwork, when's the payment coming?
So our payment, we say 6 to 10 business days. I've seen them, as fast as 3 business days. So it just depends on the paperwork route and making sure that you guys have the proper documentation, because you're gonna have to send bills to these folks to get paid, and we gotta make sure that everything's covered. If we have to keep going back to the contractor saying, well, you're requesting this money for payment, but there's nothing on your bill that's showing that, or what you did, or it doesn't match the contract that we have, you have a contract for $50,000 and you come back with 90,000, if we have those kind of issues, it's not gonna be that fast, because we're gonna have to go and iron some stuff out. But generally, it's generally 6 to 10 business days that we reimburse our sponsors.
Right, so your funding mechanism, your payment is gonna come directly from DFA. So the arrangement that DFA and NRCS have as far as the reimbursement doesn't necessarily affect the way you get paid. It's however DFA pays you out.
And then is there certified wages posted or anything like that for these jobs? Okay.
No, the contractor's solely gonna be responsible for the contract they bid on, so
Okay.
what they pay out and how they do it is specifically.
There's no requirement prevailing wages or certified.
This is under an emergency procurement order,
Okay.
so this waives a lot of things so we could get the work done, right? There's
Okay.
imminent danger to life and to structures, and we're trying to stop that.
You have a question right here?
Other than the inspectors or NRCS or whatever, working with contractors, basically on a daily basis, somebody goes to start setting up the baskets and get a flood that comes down and washes it away. And you want to spend so much time and money on getting this, and all of a sudden it's gone from one day to the next, because that's what we're doing, is trying to stop the flood from, basically, some sort of structure. So, is there gonna be any inspectors on site to see the work that you did for that day, or you're gonna take the contractor's word that it was halfway done and then they have to start from scratch?
So that's a good question, and I'm glad you brought up that specific example. We will have, inspectors engineers on site. We plan right now, correct, if I'm wrong, every day. For this first one, we're gonna have them on site every day.
Yeah, we're
Now-
planning to continue this.
But now I will tell you, if something happens overnight and you were only halfway done with the project, we can't pay for that half. So it's gonna be up to the contractor to make sure that when you're doing the work, that you do it when you look at the forecast. So there's no rains coming, or build some kind of temporary structure to protect the work that you're doing, because we have had that done in the past where we're building something, the rain comes through, it washes it out. We don't have the ability, we don't have the authority to pay on half of a structure. We have to pay on the final completed, structure that meets our standards and specifications. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a good point.
We had a question back.
Yeah, Ken, if you had an example of payment, like completing one of the 17 projects. If I remember correctly, there's a table that we saw where there's 17 projects and some of them had like 4 different treatments. So could you bill just based on if you finished the earth diversion treatment for one project?
Yeah, and another good point, and you're absolutely right. If there's 3 practices, 3 different projects on the same landowner, when you finish one of those, we can certify it. If it meets standards and specs, then we can pay on that. So I'll give you an example. There was one that had an earth diversion, and I believe it was the sediment, the flood baskets. When you finish the earth diversion, we can pay on that as long as it meets our standard and spec, and then you can move on to the other projects in there. So we're not paying by landowner, we're paying on practice.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question, thank you.
This is for bidding purposes, are you guys gonna supply like the seed, the baskets in the designated dumping area?
No, all of that will be the responsibility of the contractor. That's why in your bid, but that's why we put our designs in the bid, so you'll know what kind of material is needed, how much you're gonna need. All of that should be in all of those packets that David went through. That's all uploaded. So yeah, if it requires the seed for you to come in and do some remediation after you're done, you'll have to make sure that you know. And there's a seed mix on there that we say this is the seed mix, these are the seeding rates. You'll have to go purchase seed from wherever you can get it. The basket's the same thing.
Is there enough supply on the baskets, or or is that up to us?
Well, that's a good question. We have been working with that supplier, and they're supposedly have some, available, because that was our concern, was are we gonna be able to get them out here, you know? And really, I encourage you guys as the contractors to maybe work together on that, because you're gonna have to pay freight on those. And, you know, that could get expensive, but I think on those HESCO baskets, correct me if I'm wrong, one semi-load can bring in a mile?
Yes.
A mile of, so one semi-load can carry, 5,000 linear feet is one semi-load.
Okay, to see
So-
it, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, you'll notice that this project here didn't have 5,000 feet, but you could get with another contractor and say, hey, you know, you got this one, I got this one, let's split it, get the one semi, or you can order it and bid on other projects. There's gonna be a lot of HESCO baskets being put up, so that might be something that you get them, you store them, and then the next job you get, you already have the materials. But
Yeah, now is the time for you guys to work together, you know what I mean? If you as a contractor only have one part of this, you have some equipment, but you don't have the haul trucks. You know another contractor that has the haul trucks and the material, you know, you guys get together and work on this. The community's gonna build itself back together, and that's the whole point of this, is to empower you guys to help us build the community again, okay? So, work with each other, figure it out. That way we don't we don't have to bring in large corporations, right? Cause the thing is, if the local contractors can't fill that need, then we are definitely gonna have to look at contractors that are capable of doing it, right? So work together on this.
But one more thing I wanted to make note for the smaller, contractors on the payment, DFA sponsoring, we'll write the contracts and we'll write it to how it's gonna assist you if you're picked on that to get the job done. So even though Kenneth and them can't pay till the project's done, they're gonna require me to put a packet together to seek reimbursement. But in the contract, I'm pretty much writing blank checks as it is, right? I have a budget set up, I have approvals from, the governor and from the treasurer, and they set me up a place, and I'm accounting as it comes in, and I'm cutting checks from the state, and I'm seeking reimbursements back and pulling the money in. So that's how it works. So on the payment side, if you're running a little bit low and you wanna seek reimbursement for something to keep it going, DFA itself, we're gonna work on that contract, and we could probably pay out for the small ones. But we would prefer, because we're sponsoring this and kinda helping out, cause we're DFA and we are asked to, but the workload's kinda crazy, so on my part, I don't wanna, like I said, I don't wanna have an invoice for $15 and $20, like if we could get decent lump sums in where, I'm able to account for it and report it to the feds a lot easier, it's a lot cleaner for me on the audit trail.
We had a question up here, up there, and then one over here. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. So, I've actually been the recipient of 2 NRCS grants for my own property. And, one of them was a thinning and seeding and, like conservation type project. The second one was a high tunnel project. And so my experience having gone through that is that I ended up having to upfront money. So like, for example, I had to buy my hoop house kit and pay for it myself. On my thinning project, I hired, an amazing young man who unfortunately is no longer in New Mexico to come in and do a lot of like the tree, falling and, wood chipping. So it actually cost, almost a considerable amount of money that I had to put out myself before I got reimbursed by NRCS. My question is the state of New Mexico gonna look at some sort of like funding mechanism to help a small business, be able to pay like for services provided prior to receiving the reimbursement from NRCS, and which I must say came very quickly. As soon as my projects were inspected by NRCS, like within 2 weeks, I had my reimbursement check. But there was that period of time where I was out of money, and I don't know that everybody has that financial capacity to be able to, like, upfront to buy all of the equipment that's gonna be needed to build these, flood control bags. So is the state gonna, think about some sort of like floating loan or something to help people out?
That would be something you'd have to talk with the governor's office and then so we are doing that, we're sponsoring it. I set up budgets and we're ready to go and hire contractors without the NRCS even giving us money. That is what we're doing. That's why I'm able to write a contract and get them working. Cause Cause I don't have the money, I have an agreement with him saying that he has money over here waiting for me, but in order for me to get that money, people have to expense it, get it done, I'll pay them and then seek reimbursement from him, so the state is doing that.
Yes, I'm gonna take real quick on this loan. So I'm at the Small Business Development Center located here at Luna Community College. We provide two basic services. We provide counseling and training. We're a free service, 80% funded through the state legislature and 20% funded by SBA. We are federally and state funded, so we have to abide by both federal and state laws and regulations. But what we do at our center, a couple of you have already met with me, we help get you licensed, excuse me, LLCs, CRS numbers, EIN numbers, we help get those all for you. We have a sister program called PTAC that'll help you get registered with SAMS, all the government contracting side of things, all for free. We help you do this. And then we help you get loans. We work with the SBA disaster loans that are going on right now. We have CDC capital funding, Dream Spring. These are small micro lenders that will get you loans to help you maybe float that working capital that you need. These aren't like disaster loans immediate, so they can take a little bit of time, so we know they're on a little bit of a time crunch. But if there's anything that we can do here at the SBDC, the only stop sign on campus, you'll see a big SBDC sign. That's where I'm located at, and we provide free services for you to help you get registered, licensed. Outside of all this disaster, we do logos, designs, business plans, a lot of services for free for you business owners. So if there's any type of loan information that you would like, you can contact, and I can point you kind of in the right direction.
She asked my question, and then she gave my suggestion. I was gonna tell people to work with PPAC and SBA. So I was just gonna ask her, and I have another question for her, or the banks even, if somebody gets a contract, can they, cause like a lot of our subcontractors, can they take that award, bid award, go to the SBA or to a local bank and get us a loan against the contract to get supplies to finish the projects?
I have a question.
There was a question about taking the awarded contract to a bank or to a small business lender and see if they can use that as kind of their.
Yes, you can. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, our local banks, they're just not lending as much as I would like them to. But if you have collateral down payment and then you have that contract, some are working with our local contractors, but that's if you obviously have cash flow and your business plan. And you don't have to have a business plan, but your financial statements are in good standing, which again, for our smaller businesses, that's just kind of not an option. So we can go to SBA disaster loan route to get that, or my micro lenders. Yes. Yes. Yeah, all of our local banks, so through SBA, so if you don't apply for SBA loans through SBA.
Yeah.
That's a misconception. You have to go through an SBA approved lender. Southwest Capital Bank, Community First Bank. A lot of my contractors, it's just because it's an ag-related area, Clovis banks are lending great right now for lines of credit. Lines of credits, loans, working capital, all those options.
This gentleman had his hand up. I'll get to you.
Oh, I was just wondering if on these jobs, are we bidding on these things sight unseen? I know there's some people in this room that do that, but we often gotta go see the terrain that we're working in, because it makes so much difference on how much cost goes into the job.
Yeah, there's gonna be that site showing Tuesday.
There's not one job, but how about the rest of it?
Well, yeah, we said we'll do that as long as we need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if that's something that the contractors prefer, we'll do that for every job that we do, where we can go out there and show the signs.
Oh, I know I have to.
You said you were looking at awarding a contract to one or two days of bid quotes. Now on the, performance bonus issue, if there's a break in the weather and it's looking really good with a bank letter, substitute that if the contractor wanted.
So again, once we pick a bidder, right, once we select somebody, that's the negotiation on the contract. That's where I'm setting your budget up here, saying I have the money here for you, get the project done. So that'd be something we discuss at the award. The bondages, we're gonna want you guys to have them in place if you can, because I'm wanting to draft that contract and get it going, right? We're trying not to delay the work, so that might be a criteria that knocks you out if somebody else is there and they're ready to go, right? So the required documents, wanting you guys to have. We have a bunch of projects going, and I'm trying to get them out, and these ones are busy, and someone comes in and that scenario happens, that might be something we wanna do, but.
Are you asking for a bid bond there, or just a performance bond?
Just a copy of your bond, yeah, the bonds that you have. So we talked about, can you explain the payment bondage that we were talking about?
Okay, so we talked about two types of bonds, one being a performance bond, which basically says that once you are awarded the contract, you will complete the job. Otherwise, we would have recourse with the bonding company for the performance bond. The other would be a payment bond, which would ensure that you're gonna pay your employees and pay the material supplier. So that, make sure that, if you skip town without paying for the materials, then they would be able to file a lien against the sponsors or against the federal government, so.
So you're saying there is no bid bond?
So those site visits that he was asking about, will they be listed on the?
So it's all, yeah, it's all in that sequence of events we were talking about, where it shows you what's coming up. There it is right there, see, so it'll tell you site visit will, with interested bidders to see site, and that's the question, we'll meet Mora County Courthouse in Mora between 10 a.m., 10:15 a.m., we'll leave to visit, so everything they told you, so yeah, this sequence of events as they pop up, this portal is where you're gonna wanna go to get all your information. Once you register in there, everything we open you have access to as it goes, so we only have one open now, right, but as you see, they'll start triggering, and then you're gonna wanna pay attention to the important information.
My advice is once you sign up with a bid portal, I visit it at least daily. Because once these things start rolling, we may shorten that bid window to 2 to 5 days just to get this work out. So if you're not actively on the portal checking what's coming up, you might miss out.
And it should notify you though, once you're registered, you're linked to that portal and all the things that you think, it should be, you'll get emails that says bonfire, do not reply bonfire. You'll click on that link, it'll ask you to put your password, and boom, you're right in there just seeing everything that opens.
Can I ask you, so in that portal, when you go in to register, so you'll need your DUNS number, your SAM's number, you have to, just
So
your.
that'll be at the time of contract award.
So it's just general information about you
What
then?
you will need is anything in this field that says required.
Okay, so we just go through and upload all those docs.
Correct.
Okay,
You
cool.
upload, fill out, and then submit your, down here you'll have a submittal button for the proposal. This part tells you everything that's required, that way you can't submit a bid and we kick it out because you forgot something. It won't let you do that, it'll require you to submit everything you need.
Okay, and then after you do the process, then you have to show all the other
Yeah, so
documentation.
what'll happen is, I'll look at it, I'll have them look at it from a technical aspect, I'll look at it from a pricing aspect.
Uh-huh.
And I'll say, this was probably the best fit for this job, I'll reach out to them, start negotiating the contract template, go to scope of work, draft the deliverables, talk about payments and how that contract's gonna work to get the job done, sign off on it, award it, and that project's going.
Okay.
So, looking at the timeline, it's listed the 9th, right?
It closes the 9th at 10 o'clock.
So you guys are awarded pretty quick, right?
No, I think the 9th's the site visit.
No, the 9th is the closeout, the 6th is the site visit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the 9th is the closeout at 10 o'clock, site visit is at 6. Yeah.
So when you're looking at that, okay, this is say we're looking at you're gonna work fast. Is there a timing to complete all such projects?
That's where we'll talk with, that's gonna be the contract, when I sit down with that contractor, Kenneth and them are gonna be my technical experts, all these guys, and
We
that,
won't know ahead of time if there's a completion date.
that'll be on the bid part. I mean, that's what you guys are gonna bid, right, you're gonna bid the pricing amount. I'm gonna look at what your amount is,
So
see if it's,
basically, we use our own schedule.
well, yeah, that was one question I had on this bid is, mostly in an RFP, we'll get scenarios, reference checks, check this one's going quick, right? So you might want to add a statement in there of, maybe we put a term of,
Yeah, we were just talking
I'll
about
add
that.
I'll add that criteria into this for you guys. Cause that was a question I had, but I think, yeah.
Well, I mean, if you look at the time you get awarded, you guys are really quickly, the material order has to go in, the contractor's gonna have to pay out those materials. Cause we can't, you're not gonna pay us before they're installed.
Correct.
And so basically, we have to responsibly get materials, whatever we need ahead of time.
Yeah, there should be a deadline, because the reality is, we can't poke on this and take 6 months to complete this, right? It's gotta be quick. And like these guys mentioned, we have we're down to how many days on getting this one done from the technical side?
Yeah, so we had 220 days, we're down to about, right now, probably
180, about 180, to get all this work done with EWP, not this specific one, but everything. Okay, so that's why we're rolling this as quickly as possible. There is a possibility that we can make one extension or so, but we're looking at 180 days, 6 months to get all these projects down on the ground. That's why we're using the portal, that's why we're saying we're gonna shorten bid times. We're gonna shorten a lot of stuff. And the reality is, with the procurement deal, there's, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's not even, is there the requirement to put it out for quotation, or would you be able to, contractors with the state Wi-Fi?
No, if I wanted to right now, I could just go pay it. That's not the way, to do a project like this, we're trying to get everybody to work together to get it done, cause it needs to get done, and we're running out of time, and the issues we're talking about, product, right, there can be no product. Can the locals be able to buy it all and get the job done? So if you guys can work together and sub some out just to get it done, I mean, we're trying to help the community rebuild, right, we're 2-3 months deep.
Right, and that's why I brought that up, because right now, through the emergency procurement, he has the ability to select contractors directly for each one of these bid packets off of the statewide pricing agreement. We don't have to do this bidding process.
I could've went to like the national, where people in California and them have already done it and got one, but we were instructed and asked to bid with the community level cost, if it's
So
possible.
that's why we're doing things this way, is to give everybody that fair chance.
John, yeah, Chris?
Yes, I did, the bid portal email, have that?
Yeah,
I didn't see it earlier, I'm sorry.
it's okay, it'll be a https://nmdfa.bonfire, BONFIRE, hub.com. And if your email address is back here, the minute we're done, I'm gonna upload that whole list in here. You guys will all get an invite to that portal as well.
Okay, and I had a secondary question, and, it's been asked and answered, I believe, but I'm gonna ask it again. Being a local contractor and asset management on property. As a local contractor, I myself can't get the project.
Every project opens up to everybody, and whoever bids on it, whoever's a successful bidder will get the job.
Question, so it's 180 days, do you know what the total, cost of the whole program is, as far as federal funds?
Yeah, I'm surprised it took so long for somebody to ask.
We've been waiting for this question.
So right now, NRCS has secured $133 million for this project. But we have 2 phases going. The first phase is the aerial seeding and mulching project that is separate from all of this. That contract has already been awarded, and that one is gonna take some of that $133 million. So right now, for all of this on the ground work for this first go, we've got $24 million out of that 133. In February, when our 220 days is up, we extended and we needed additional funding. We have the ability to request an additional $96 million. So what us at NRCS, me and my counterpart Kenneth, we've gone through all of this. We basically have said, we need $133 million for aerial seeding, and we need $120 million for on the ground work. We haven't received all of that funding, we've just received the 133. Some of it is for aerial seeding, some of it is for on the ground. Any question?
How many, contracts?
What's that?
This is one contract with 17 projects, how many contracts do you think you're gonna have?
I couldn't
Do you have a guess?
It's a lot, we don't have numbers, but it's a ton, because.
The applications that we received between San Miguel and Mora are almost 800 applications, so that gives you.
And not every landowner qualifies, but
No,
like,
but
the first go around with EWP is gonna address primarily the structures that are being inundated by flooding with every precip event. So there's a higher priority list to protect the structures that are being impacted right now as it's raining. Then we're gonna roll into some other areas where there's a little bit, there'll be a different priority list. Down the road, we're looking at the mastication, the seeding, contour felling, things like that. So while this is the first round, there's gonna be other practices that are implemented down the road that some of you may have a different expertise in. But the priority right now is those homes that are getting inundated almost every time it rains. And then we'll transition to more. So can you imagine $250 million spent on the ground in counties, two of the poorest counties in the nation, and we've all had a hand in doing that. I think that's something that we can be proud of.
I was gonna ask you, because you said that there's already a contract that was awarded. Is that the one that was awarded $34 million?
No, I'm not sure which contract you're
And it's from part of this community that's part of the burn. So,
The
okay.
aerial seating was awarded, for phase one, and I shouldn't say awarded, it's being signed as we speak. But it's been selected, it's written, it's just running through the signature process.
So how did that process, how did they get awarded? What was the process for them?
That was under the emergency, so that was the start even before phase two. We've been working on that one for the last 2 months. And, we got a company, Aeronautical Technologies Inc. out of Clovis. And they're gonna actually work with some local people in this area to get that part done. The part we're having a hard time on is getting all the property permissions sent in, because they think that they're waiving their rights to sue any government, which are not. We're just asking them to let us get on their property to do what we need to do and get out without getting sued by them for anything.
We had a question up here.
In response to your question there, the Corps of Engineers is for building demo, things like that is awarded $38 million to a company called Northway.
Yeah.
That's another project,
Yeah,
and that's a Corps of Engineers. But my question was, you're recommending, and I think it's a great recommendation that folks try to work together. Are you gonna share that sign-up sheet with everybody who's here so we can start contacting each other?
No, sponsors.
I
I
could
don't know, I don't
put
know how you folks feel about that. There is, some personal information on there, cell phone, stuff like that, but, we'll have to think about that. We definitely don't wanna share information with folks that don't want that shared.
For subcontractor, do you recommend me registering for the procurement website so I know kind of what the requirements are, so I can kind of see what I need to do if someone wants to hire me as a subcontractor?
I would, and then this is a public portal, so anybody in the public could actually create an account just to keep track of projects that are out for bid. So I would, that way you know what you're up against, right? And you can look at all the ones that are coming out.
It's open nationally, so people in Canada, anybody can see these are open to anybody. I could click the link here where I can open any procurement that's nationwide right now.
I just won't bid on it.
I guess maybe this is when you bid a project, is the deadline already on it, or do you bid the price and the deadline?
Everything that's required has to be submitted by that September 9th by 10 a.m.
So, but for actual project completions and boots on the ground, so when project is complete, do we tell you that, or do you tell us?
Yeah, we're gonna add a requested criteria there, that you give us a time frame of what it's gonna take you to get the job done. We'll make that our criteria. I'll literally enter it once it's done, I'll update it and it'll be in there.
We prefer that you guys as the contractors tell us what your guys' timeframes are, just like the young lady that you mentioned. You guys are gonna have to get materials on site and, so it's better to.
Question for reference to phase one areas. Where are they gonna be housing the seed, and are they gonna be landing on the refrigerated aircraft?
Yeah.
I know I had asked this longer before, as to, are they gonna look for locations that are kind of a hub zone, and are they gonna hire out or rent or lease the property from landowners for mulching and stuff like that?
Yeah, so the areas that we're gonna aerial seed and mulch, we've identified approximately 39,000 acres that meet our criteria for this. And, like Joseph mentioned, we sent out the sponsors sent sent out a letter to all of the landowners who fell within that criteria. And so that's gonna be at no cost to the landowner, but the company, the contractor that received this bid, it's gonna be their responsibility to get the mulch and the seed and store it and whatnot. They have indicated that they've already reached out to some local contractors, for their power bunchers. They're gonna need some of that help. They've also said that they've reached out to some of the local trucking companies. They're gonna continue to do that because they don't have everybody. So they're gonna continue to do that. When it comes to the property and the mulch, it's all gonna come from burnt trees that are within the local area. That contractor is gonna reach out to local landowners that they've identified as good areas for these landing zones, the LZs that they call them. So they're looking for good trees that they can mulch. You know, they don't want a bunch of little small stuff that's gonna take them days and days to mulch. So they've identified areas. Also, what they have to look at are their flight patterns. They don't want to fly. They really want to fly within 2 miles. They're looking at 2 to 6 miles. Anything over 6 miles is pretty tough. So they've identified some areas where they can go in and hopefully get with those landowners and pay them. They're gonna pay them for that, for those trees and whatnot. I don't know, they'll have to negotiate those rates and whatnot. But it could be up to, from what I've heard, up to about $400 on the acre for them to go in there and do that, but that's gonna be up to the contractor. The seed. Yeah, that contractor will work with the landowners on all of that. The seed is all gonna be native seed. I know we've heard a lot of rumors that we're just gonna drop a bunch of nonsense in invasive seed. That is highly inaccurate information. It's gonna be all native seed. The seed vendor is gonna be another New Mexico company. They're gonna have to send their seed to a lab to get it tested for certified food-free seed. We'll verify that. We're trying to work with the New Mexico Department of Agriculture to help us with that. So that way we make sure that what we're putting out there is not just a bunch of junk seed.
Is that the same seed that's gonna be recommended for the use of these practices?
I believe it is.
Yes. So we have to use that same.
You don't have to, no, but you have to use that mix that we provide.
Right, the most backing point for drafting a contract, I can see that.
Yeah, so we have nothing to do with once the aerial company starts contracting landowners, whatnot, who they decide to sell with, that's not any of our responsibility, that's up to them. I know they've mentioned that they have reached out to some local liaisons of sort, that are actually gonna be helping them identify these LZs, making that contact with you folks that they identify as a landing zone. So you'll be probably talking to somebody that lives in some of the valleys around here for that.
So do they have to follow the same procurement as everybody here as far as listing the subcontractors?
Yes,
Yeah, all their subs are listed
yes,
with their EUIN numbers.
yes.
And this one definitely was procured through that emergency procurement, okay? This was a statewide pricing.
Well, no, what happened here was we were only gonna do phase 2.
Yeah.
And then we were asked to sponsor phase 1, but all the work had already been done. I mean, we pretty much just stepped in and said, yeah, we'll sign the contract and we'll go ahead and continue what we are working on. And, you know, we contracted with it. So.
Seed mix?
So the seed mix is gonna be an annual rye or a winter wheat as an annual, and then we're just gonna go with blue grama and, western wheat. Or side these and sides. What's that?
Cytos?
No, well, Cytos could be part of that, yes. But
It depends on the availability, no?
It's all with the availability of seed, but they're all natives, they're the ones that grow there, but primarily it's gonna be the blue grama, the, western wheat as a cool season, and then it's gonna be either a rye or, winter wheat that will be used as an annual.
The other part I did wanna talk with the contractors about, right? Once you receive this contract, you're solely responsible for that property that you're working on with property owners. They may want what we call reclamation. There's no reclamation within, you know, DFA is not gonna pay for reclamation and fix up everything. So if you're on the property, you're turning up the tires and all that stuff, that's something we gotta think about.
It's built into the, the mobilization. Where
that's expected through the install. I guess what Joseph is alluding to, let's say you as a contractor go in to a muddy situation, rains like heck, bury the excavator, take 2, 3, or 4 pieces of equipment to get everything out, and you leave a big zanja in the middle of the llano. NRCS, none of the procurement can pay for that damage that was caused, because it's your responsibility to be working in the conditions that are best suited for the land, right? We definitely don't wanna cause any more damage than what's already out there. So those incidentals that you cause outside of normal wear and tear are gonna be the responsibility of the contractor, okay? There's no mechanism, no funding mechanism that will pay for that. And that's part of the reason that you folks, if you hit the corner of the house with the boom on the backhoe, that's why you carry insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes.
So we just wanted to point that out because that was something that was brought forward as well, you know, just make sure you don't cause any more damage than is already there.
I think that was under mobilization and preference.
So the seating, so basically when you come in, you track in, you do your whole 9 yards, you're gonna come and kind of rake everything back in, then seed will be thrown on that. But what I'm talking about is damage in excess of that, right? Yeah, so that's gonna be in your bid, right? The seed, what it costs to sow it in, the equipment work it's gonna take to re-level everything, that's all part of the bid.
So make sure you capture all that, cause once I give you that contract, we're not coming back and negotiating it.
When you read that scope of work, you know, I can honestly tell you, NRCS is the one that put all this together for you. I really think they put together one heck of a package for you folks to be able to start that bidding process. Everything is in there, even the bid schedule. We tried to make this where it could be as easy as possible for you folks to be able to make these bids. And then that's where the questions come in. If you have questions along the way, where Joseph showed you on that, where that vendor button is, submit your questions because you're probably not the only one that has them. I'm sure half of the contractors bidding are gonna have them. So when it goes on the public site, every single person that logs into this portal will be able to see the question and the answer. So you're all helping yourselves in a sense by asking those questions.
And it's for us too, right? We came today to try it. There might be something we didn't think about or thought about until you brought it up, right? So.
We've never procured things like this, never. You know, we're in uncharted territory. And, we're hopeful that this process works. We wanted to give this a longer bidding window so that we can iron out the wrinkles, right? There's probably some things we did forget. But if we did, let us know. He can modify things a little bit on this first one, and then once we get that template done, that's when the rollout's gonna start getting quicker, right? Cause we start working more like an oiled machine. So don't hesitate to ask those questions.
This is kind of a hybrid, right? The urgency, if you're supposed to say it's imminent, hire that contractor, have them start working, we'll figure it out. This one, we're kind of saying, we're asking you to do this under emergency situation, but we're not technically, you're picking someone and getting them work, right? We're trying to help everybody to get work and, you know, it's a lot of work that needs to be done is the issue.
We had a question right here, and then we'll jump up on top.
So I have a different question, but maybe I was talking about that. The burn houses. I know this is not part of it. But it kind of ties in, I'm kind of wondering where this other piece is gonna fit, because the company came in, we thank you for offering this for the local, but the burn houses, a lot of it's going in out of state contracts. Okay. They tag it a hazard. A lot of testing, so you build a lot of money. Okay. Basically, any material coming off those projects is gonna be wrapped and handled as, not per se hazardous, but it is going to be some form of a hazard waste. Now, when I met with these people, I threw the questions to them, I said, look, if you're calling this material, whatever ash sludge hazardous, then the whole town is contaminated then. It's probably everywhere. I know you guys mentioned that you can use those stockpiles pending you get permission to stay filled baskets, to build the berm. But are you guys, I mean, you're not gonna have Army Corps of Engineers come in and say, oh wait, we cannot use these materials, it's not all contaminated, right?
So my understanding was, and, GFA, was Kenny, Gerald Amanda came to us to sponsor it. The other program you're talking about, I think it ran through environment and I'm not sure what agencies of the state ran that one. We weren't any part of it. We literally came on to this one, which is just EWP. So I don't know what they did or how they did. What I was told from the governor's office and what I was told from my secretary's office was, let's help this community and let's try and keep it as local as possible. That's what I was told. But keep it within procurement parameters, right? I gotta still be very transparent about it,
Well,
so.
I mean, it's just because we were contacted by some environmental companies, and yeah, they've got certain criteria for their materials going out, which is gonna be the same materials you guys are handling, but they're handling it in a whole different way.
I'm not too sure.
Well, no, so it'll be different material, cause we're not gonna do anything with the household goods and the burnt houses and everything, none of that is debris removal. The only debris removal we're talking about is sediment. Yeah, and so if they're moving out sediment and they're considering it contaminated, and then a contractor goes and says, can I use this? Chances are they're gonna say no, cause it's
But I'm saying,
contaminated.
because the piles that are sitting there,
Yeah.
according to their standard, they're contaminated.
So if they're
According
labeling
to their standard, they're not going to be, so I'm just saying, you know, we don't wanna get outside, it's just like, heads up. But if you're gonna have these other people involved in the way, they are gonna come in and call it contaminated. Not to make it complicated, but,
it complicates things, but I think,
but we're okay on this.
yeah, for us, we're not gonna have the Army Corps of Engineers going out there certifying all this, like, it's gonna be our engineers that are doing it. You know, there is gonna be some talk about the material that's gonna have to be used, but yeah, if somebody labels it contaminated, we probably as a contractor should question using it, or, you wanna take on
Well,
that?
no, I'm not saying we don't ask them to use it, I'm just saying, we've got one set of guidelines for this project, it's the same area, it's got another set.
Right, and a lot of the debris removal, as far as the homes go, is because there's that potential for chemicals to leach, the soil around the home. The debris removal we're talking about is what's been flushed down through the heavy flows. That's, sediment, boulders, stuff like that, that are kind of around houses that we're trying to protect. It's not gonna be out in the middle of anywhere. There's still structures that are standing. We have not given that material that designation.
Well, it's the same principles on the builders, on the house
Yeah.
furniture there.
Yeah.
And that flushed through, the board down for miles out, everybody's falling for it. So basically, whatever's around that house, whether it's asbestos, if it was or not, did not float down.
Yeah.
And it's in the sediment, it's on the side.
So for the purpose of this, we have not designated. In the back.
So, any remediation or mitigation of, say, the baskets or removal of the baskets once flooding period is gone, doesn't fall into this contract, right?
No,
Contractor's
so-
not responsible for that?
No, so actually the sponsors are responsible for what's called operation and maintenance.
Okay.
So these HESCO baskets are gonna have a performance period of 4 years, right? 4 years. I think the berms themselves are gonna have a performance period of 4 years. So we as the sponsors actually have to take that responsibility on. We may defer some of that to the actual landowners. We're still in the process of figuring out how we're gonna pay for that and accommodate that, right? We're just trying to get these things installed. But at some point, if the landowner chooses and they wanna have those HESCO baskets removed at the end of the 4-year period, we have to figure out how that's gonna happen, where that funding mechanism is gonna come from, the whole 9 yards. So that's a piece of the puzzle that's not completely solved yet, but it is something that we need to consider. So yes, you're right on that.
I'm back to the baskets, I urge you guys to maybe help us all out, get a big supply of those baskets, because after all, the main work is to do with the baskets, not the seating. All that's the icing on the cake,
Yeah.
So, if each one of us, you said you were thinking about giving each other's numbers out, if you decide not to, each one of us is gonna be calling the supplier, and they're gonna tell us, well, we got somebody from Kentucky in front of you that needs 1 million of them, we're gonna send them over there, so it's gonna slow down the project for everybody.
Right, so what I can do is on the sign-in sheet, when you guys leave, those of you that are willing to share your information with others, put that on next to your name. That way I know I can build that list and help each other. So as far as being able to help you guys kind of purchase the baskets and all that stuff, we don't have the fiscal resources to be able to do that. I wish we did, I know we can't, I know DFA's kind of stretched thin, you know, even
Our,
doing this.
our
so-
issue is we didn't have the money, we were asked to sponsor to pull the money in, right? And our guidelines to even get reimbursed on the blank checks I'm saying we're writing is the work has to be purchased and installed and done, right? Which means, that's the way federal money usually works, is you gotta go spend it to recoup it, right? You don't just get it to be helped, and a lot of people are like, well, where's FEMA, where's everyone helping us? Well, the federal side, you gotta go ahead and make the expense and the cost, and then seek reimbursement. So it's the same way, DFA, we set it up, we'll enter contract, get work going, but I'm still seeking the money back from them under their guidelines.
Yeah, he had to go through the proper mechanisms to be able to go into the red and make this happen, and that's not something the state does. You know what I mean? So we've made every exception possible that we can to make this work.
I wanna touch on the basket deal a little bit. So like I said, we contacted that manufacturer and we let them know there's gonna be a big order coming from New Mexico, whether it's coming from whoever, the contractors or whomever. We told them about 15,000 baskets. So the lady there did mention that, yeah, they know that's happening, they're anticipating it. I can't guarantee you that they're gonna send them, cause like I say, if Kentucky comes in, cause they're flooding, and takes up, you know, but we put them on notice that, hey, there's gonna be a review in our state.
How many miles did you say a mile per shipment? A mile is 5,280 feet.
Yeah.
It says the baskets are 3 feet.
The baskets are 50, each unit is 15 feet long. We told them that we need 15,000 units, not 15,000 feet.
Oh.
I can't put that.
Yeah, so they come as have you guys, does anybody know what they are? There's actually, what I can do is I'll send you a YouTube video, it's like a 2-minute video. So it's basically like a cattle panel that's put together into a cube.
14.4 miles.
They come flat on a pallet. Pull them out, open them up, pin them together, and then you start backfilling them. The way the military does it is they actually get some of the soldiers to jump in a box and jump on it, okay? Fill it up to that thing. When they come apart, the pins that hold them together, there's a tool that you put on the backhoe bucket, pull it, and it all falls apart. The thing I'm trying to investigate is to see if these baskets are reusable, so that whenever we have other flooding concerns not associated with a fire, like 2013 floods, stuff like that, and we can make those available to the county, to landowners to be able to implement these again in the event that we need them, right? And we talked about a 4-year performance period. Well, we're gonna recommend that people leave them in just a little bit longer, because especially around our homes, unless it's impeding your activity around your home or not, we don't know what the weather's gonna do in the next 10 years, right? We anticipate heavy flooding for the next 3 to 5. But what if that comes in year 6 and you took your baskets down and then you get hammered for it? You know, that's not what if.
Desi just gave us a good idea. What we're gonna do is we're gonna reach out to the manufacturer of these baskets and see if they're willing to deliver some to Las Vegas and Mora, house them somewhere, not necessarily sell them to you guys, and then you guys have to bring them out here, but like kind of bring some out here and then sell them to you out of their truck, wherever they can house them, maybe at the SWCDs or whatnot. We'll see if they're willing to do that, so you don't have all of that money out of your pocket, and then they're kind of like selling them on site or something.
I'm not really asking about for your help,
yeah,
financial wise, I get the material here,
Yeah.
you know?
We wanna help you succeed, that's why we're doing what we're doing. So the other option is that the suppliers actually made an offer to send one of their delegates down to do a live demo on how to build these, okay? So we're trying to find a way to get that to happen here in the short future. So if we're able to get that company rep to come down and actually give a live demo, we'll get that information out to you folks, so you can see actually how they work, and you can get some hands-on view of how they're installing.
Get it for every project, that way you can do it.
See, and the video on YouTube, I don't know how many of you guys have, the front end, I'll get you in a minute. The front end buckets that open, those are ideal for filling these, yeah.
So the plastic, you're gonna require the plastic lining in the baskets as well?
Comes like that.
It comes like that,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
so
it
it's
comes
that
complete.
geotextile liner, if they talked about that. So you literally, they're flat, you literally take them out, snap them out, 2 people can string together, AJ, he's not here, he was watching a video the other day, And he had mentioned that you can do 30 linear feet in I believe 20 minutes or something like that. So it's kind of quick. You know, you could probably get done some of these projects that have maybe 400 feet, get done in a couple of hours. And obviously there's gonna be some ground prep with these, right? You're not just gonna lay them on top of the ground. If there's a slope, you gotta prep the bed, all that. So all that comes into your duty. You know, it's all explained in that mobilization and other things too. So read that out, it's gonna really help you a lot. Yeah, by all means, if whoever wants to do that.
One thing that I can do with this portal, if you guys are interested, you guys can go in there once you register, give me your information, and say, I'm willing to be put on there publicly in case anyone wants to reach out to me to sub or anything. I could put a list on there so everyone just has access to everybody there too. Just acknowledge it in there so I can say, yeah, I was allowed to post their name and contact information.
At the first meeting in, Mora, I know, Allison shared that with everybody that signed up at that one, so if you were at that one, you got it.
I actually sent all this information to her too, so whoever's not here that she has a contact for, I've also requested the email list from her so that Joseph can input that into the portal and they get that link too. So we've been trying to get that out to everybody as much as possible. Yeah. So she will get the portal link, she'll get all the information that everybody here is gonna get and disseminate that to everybody else too. So, you guys okay with having introductions?
Yeah. The one thing I'll say before we start is Joseph would just say, that's a one-time deal with your email. Once you get your email in there, other projects that come out will also be shot over to you. Yeah, we want to start.
Currently, we've done projects up in Los Alamos, so we're an excavation company. We also are 48 truck. We've got logging and investigation equipment. So we diverse in a lot of areas. We're family owned. We live in the area, and so licensed. So, nothing else.
I guess we'll just jump right up.
Crystal Pacheco, Jay Pacheco, trucking and gravel products in Mora. Pretty much everything that the locals have, smart trucking, landscaping materials, a lot of heavy equipment. And also licensed on the
Anybody else? You don't have to do it, voluntary.
I can introduce myself. I'm Letitia Montoya, and I am with Nebula Advisor LLC. I'm a partner with my husband, who's a service disabled veteran. So we are registered in SAM. We are certified as a veteran-owned business. We did do the intent of interest on SAM as one of the companies to go after the bid at the federal level, and so we're here learning more and understanding more process so that we can help people out, whoever needs help with. And I don't know if a lot of you are registered in SAM and you know the process of it. If you are, that's good. If you don't, you can get my information, or I can send it out once I get that list, and I can guide you and help you. And I did use PTAC; they're the best. And SBA, I work with them too, and SDBC. So those are all organizations that are out there that are for free.
So, just a show of hands or whatever, did this training help explain things for you?
Yes.
Was it worth having?
Yes.
Yeah. You have a better picture of what's gonna happen.
Yes.
So, what's that?
Is this a public meeting?
Yeah.
So the list is, you guys can share it.
We can if you folks are okay with it. That's what I mentioned. If you wanna, well, the thing is, we have that PIIA, right, that we gotta deal with. And that's specifically why we can't give you landowner names until you're awarded a contract, right? So we definitely are careful with that, but if you indicate that you want your information shared, I can go ahead and do that.
Why don't you just, to make it simple, just put an asterisk next to your name?
Just some kind
Oh.
of marking that it's okay to share.
And that will indicate to us that we can share your responsibility.
The site visit and more, where's that gonna be at?
So we're gonna meet at the courthouse at 10 o'clock on September 6th. Courthouse parking lot, then we're gonna travel into Hodman. We're probably not gonna be able to tour all the areas, but, Wanda's gonna help us get landowner permissions to be on site that day. And we'll take a look at a couple of different scenarios where there's gonna be the flood bag installs and the debris removal and some earthburn installation. So you'll get a sample of all three and where they go.
I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Michael Martinez. I own the wildfire support team, like wildfires, but also I'm an expert in contour falling. I have crews that do that professionally, so if anybody needs our services, it would be available. And I'm not a resident here, but I'm a resident from San Jose, but I go over the nation.
Who's next?
Will the contractors be awarded primarily on lowest cost on, or are you gonna factor in capacity, equipment, et cetera?
That's a Joseph question.
I'm sorry, say it again?
Will you work contractors simply on lowest cost, or are you gonna factor in capacity?
Well, yeah, the way this one's looking is the big cost proposal, right? So cost is gonna play a big role. We're not asking for technical specifications, so I wouldn't be able to score on that, right? So yeah, it's gonna be more on the cost. Would probably be more the determining factor on that one. Just because if you see the cost bid sheet, right, it's lump sum, so.
Anybody else?
This 108 days, you said, right?
For the entire project, not just this Holman 01 project. So it's for the money that Kenny talked about, the 24 million that's going into this effort has a 80-day spending window. Okay? So that's why we need to get moving once we get going. Days go by quickly and then, well, here's the reality. Hunting season, it's gonna start snowing, you know, the whole 9 yards, you're taking that into account. Yeah, so it's a reality, you know. There may be some areas that maybe have landowner tags with some, you know, guiding happening on the property that we're not gonna be able to touch immediately, things like that. So we'll work as quickly as we can around all those barriers, and we'll try to pinpoint those before we put that area out to bid.
I'm gonna add it right now for the requested, so we're gonna ask for a estimated time of completion on your submittal, so I just let us know what the time frame you think you need. So that'll probably be a determining factor too, is who could probably get it done faster than the other one. But please, guys, don't do it to bid to get the job, like actually, we want the work done, like we need to get it done. Doesn't happen, like let's get it done right, okay? That's gonna be all part of what you guys gotta put into your bid, right? You gotta think, that's on you guys as the bidder, you guys gotta put all those things into to play when you're thinking about it. These ones are hard because it's such a fast running, moving thing, right? And I've never dealt with anything like this, so it's a first for me.
Any other questions, introductions, anything? No? Well, I wanna thank you folks for coming in today. You know, this is our best effort to be able to help you folks be successful in this process and to keep that money here as much as possible. That'd be a massive boost to the local economy if we can get all this spent locally. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.